Welcome to this explainer. Take a second and just breathe. We're about to embark on a really incredible journey of self-discovery. We're going to explore this fascinating concept that frames your life, not as some random, chaotic sequence of events, but as a beautifully structured story. If you've been feeling a massive shift lately, this sense of inner change that you just can't quite put your finger on, well, you are in the exact right place.
I mean, think about it. Have you ever looked back at your own life and felt like there were completely different versions of you walking around? Like maybe there was one version of you who's just trying to survive, another version who is constantly trying to prove something to the world, and then another who is deeply, truly searching for purpose. If you're feeling like you're stepping into a brand new chapter right now, but you can't fully explain why, this explainer is going to give you the exact vocabulary for what you are experiencing.
So, in the world of numerology, there's this profound concept known as the Pinnacles. Basically, these are the 4 major long-term chapters of your life. And to be clear, we're not talking about fleeting moods or temporary phases that just pass in a few weeks. No, these are deep, defining cycles that can last for years. They reveal the main themes, the underlying lessons, and the literal pressure points of your personal growth. Think of it like this. If your overall life path is the entire book, the Pinnacles are the specific chapters.
Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1. The chapters of your life. A lot of people describe the Pinnacles as the 4 seasons of your life. It's a beautiful way to look at it. The first pinnacle, that's your spring. This is your foundation. It usually runs right through childhood and into early adulthood, where you're really forming your identity and soaking up those early foundational lessons. Then comes the second pinnacle, your summer. This is where you're building. You're stepping into real-world independence, making those big career choices, and literally creating stability. Next up is the third pinnacle, autumn. This is a super powerful turning point of maturity. It's where you refine your identity and start asking the heavy questions like, wait, is this really me? And finally, we arrive at the fourth pinnacle, winter. Now, don't think of this as a negative cold winter. It's actually the chapter of ultimate wisdom and integration. It's all about your legacy and just living completely truthfully.
All right, moving on to calculating your personal timeline. And don't worry, I'm going to walk you through exactly how to do this.
To find the timing of your specific chapters, we first need to find your life path number. I promise the math is super easy. You're literally just reducing your birth dates to single digits. Let's use an example to make it clear. July 19, 1994. Okay, so July is the 7th month, so that's a 7. For the 19th, you add 1 plus 9, which gets you 10, and then 1 plus 0 is 1. Now for the year, 1994. Adding 1 plus 9 plus 4 gives you 23, and then 2 plus 3 is 5. Now you just add those 3 numbers together. 7 plus 1 plus 5 equals 13. And finally reduce that. 1 plus 3 equals 4. Boom! So this person is a life path number of 4.
And that brings us to a really fascinating number in numerology, 36. This is basically the magic constant, the key we use to unlock your whole timeline. By simply taking the number 36 and subtracting your unique life path number, you reveal the exact specific age your very first major life chapter comes to an end. It's wild. So going back to our life path 4 example, 36 minus 4 is 32. That means their first chapter wraps up right at age 32.
Once you have that first transition age figured out, the rest of the timeline literally falls perfectly into place. Look at how this beautifully flows. Your second and third chapters each last for exactly 9 years. It's like clockwork. So for our example person, their first chapter was from birth all the way to 32. Their second chapter goes from 32 to 41. Their third is 41 to 50. And then that final, fourth chapter of wisdom, that begins at 50 and carries them all the way through the rest of their story.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how we find the actual themes of your individual chapters. It's all hidden right there in the blueprint of your birth date. Your first pinnacle is your birth month plus your birth day. The second is your day plus your year. Your third pinnacle is actually just adding your first and second pinnacles together. And your fourth, that's your month plus your year. These incredibly simple little addition formulas are going to unlock the exact thematic energies you are going to encounter in each phase of your life.
So let's look at what these numbers actually mean. The meaning of your chapter.
All right, here we have the first 4 energies. Think about which of these you might be living right now. If you're in a 1 pinnacle, life is actively pushing you toward true independence and leadership. You literally must become the leader of your own life. Now a 2 pinnacle, that completely slows things down. It's going to teach you profound, deep lessons in emotional patience, relationships, and intuition. A 3 pinnacle is all about your voice. It's this highly creative, beautifully expressive chapter where you are finally asked to stop shrinking just to make other people comfortable. And a 4 Pinnacle? That is the chapter of discipline and structure. You're being asked to do the hard work, the grounding work, to build a foundation that will actually stand the test of time. Moving along to the next set. A 5 Pinnacle brings this whirlwind of restless freedom and change. Life is asking you to expand and adapt, but without losing yourself in the process. A 6 Pinnacle centers hard on responsibility, family, and service. It teaches you how to love deeply, but also how to maintain your own boundaries. Then we have the 7 Pinnacle, which pulls you way inward. It's a time of solitude and truth-seeking, really reminding you that silence usually holds the deepest answers. An 8 Pinnacle is going to test your ambition. It pushes you straight into leadership and material mastery. And finally, a 9 Pinnacle. This is a profound, deeply emotional chapter of completion and release. It asks you to let go of what no longer fits and step into a space of ultimate compassion.
And I definitely want to briefly mention that in some calculations, you might arrive at an 11 or a 22. These are master numbers, and they bring incredibly intense, large-scale energies to the table. An 11 Pinnacle requires just a massive amount of trust in your heightened intuition and spiritual awareness. A 22 Pinnacle, that is the master builder energy. It demands extreme discipline because it's asking you to execute large-scale world-impacting visions. It's about turning massive, crazy dreams into concrete reality.
Okay, let's talk about navigating intense life transitions.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly what happens when you are right on the edge of a new chapter. Because let's be honest, a lot of people feel this heavy, almost anxious friction when a transition is near. You are in what we call the in-between space. On the left side, you're actively releasing old identities and dreams that just simply no longer fit who you are. But on the right side, the new chapter is still totally unclear. You're being asked to develop new strengths, but the destination is blurry. It feels like a massive spiritual page turn. So if you are in this space right now, please be patient. You aren't lost, okay? You are just between chapters. Let's move to the next slide and see how this all builds into a cohesive life story, because truly nothing is random. Take this example progression, someone moving from a 4 to a 1 to an 8 to a 9. The heavy, grounding discipline learned in the early childhood of a 4, that directly prepares that person for the fierce independence required in the 1. Then, that independence gives them the sheer strength to handle the massive material success and power of the 8 chapter. And finally, that success ultimately softens them, preparing them for a final chapter of deep compassion and giving back in the 9. It's like a giant puzzle. Every single chapter intentionally prepares you for the next.
All right, let's get into your personal reflection exercise.
Now, I want to invite you to really turn inward. Take a moment to just sit with these questions. Once you know your current pinnacle number, ask yourself, what is life trying to teach me right now? What am I resisting? What specific strength is this exact chapter trying to develop in me? Look, remember that numerology is a language for profound self-reflection. It is absolutely not some rigid, inescapable destiny. It's a symbolic lens. It's a tool to help you work with your life's energy, rather than constantly fighting against it.
I really want you to hear this. You are not behind. You are not late, and you are definitely not randomly moving through the years without meaning. Every single chapter is developing a different, beautiful part of who you are. Your life is not just a timeline. It is a masterpiece of a story. So, the only real question is, which chapter are you living now? Thank you so much for exploring this with me today.